I'm very excited today to have with us the singer from Left Field, Messiah. Is that how you want to be introduced?
Sure. Yeah, yeah. I know those guys would be stoked, and
Um,
they're
yeah.
all three of them are. Everyone in that band is Jewish, so I know you would be stoked.
Who's in that band?
Jeremy Razumna from Fits and the Tantrums,
Yeah.
and Eric Jansen, formerly of this band called Wildling, who I was co-writing and producing in LA, and then everyone kind of just moved all their priorities to that for a little bit. We all have kids, and there's like distance, and also I don't want to go down to the States, but we'll probably do another record soon because it's one of my favorite records I've done.
So, couple of things. So, I want to give you a proper introduction. So, Steve Bays, a friend of mine for many years and somebody I've worked with. Steve is probably best known as being the singer in Hot Hot Heat, but it's
For
not
sure.
like that's the whole career. He's done lots of other things, Fur Trade and Mounties and Left Field Messiah and producing and working with a million other artists. So thanks for doing this. It's nice to have you on.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
What about the Zolas? That's on your Wikipedia page, but I don't remember what you did for the Zola. I mean, my relationship with them is so long.
I did like the pink trippy album cover record.
Swooner.
Yeah. So I did most of that record with them.
God, is it 10 year or 20 year? Could it be 20 years? No, it's 10 year. We're putting out the 10-year anniversary this year.
Oh,
or this
nice.
year coming up.
That's cool. Yeah. I'm a big Zolas fan. Yeah. And then I've worked with Dwight too for you guys. And then I've done a ton of videos with you guys over the years. And although I just fried my camera the other day, so I'm officially just back to audio now. So
you can get a camera fixed, just so you know.
It's in that weird purgatory where it would be like $1,200 US and it would take some sort of executive function engaged, which is not my strength. So
well, yeah, I was laughing because I was thinking like people wouldn't know this because they're just tuning in, but I mean, we were having a bunch of technical problems coming into this, and it made me giggle because it just seemed very Steve Bays. Not that you are a guy who has technical problems, but it just made me laugh. I was just like,
well, I've always got a lot of kind of things on the go. Like with every project I'm doing, I'm always incorporating something experimental.
That's
like
true.
The wireless mic thing is a fun thing. And then I'm also like, even with this studio, it's wired over Ethernet. And then so I got really into like building custom Ethernet cables, and I love like weird stuff like magnets, Velcro, new ways to hide stuff.
Well, I was worried there because we were having trouble and the screen was freezing, and then I was like, I got a bad feeling that he's going to leave me in the middle of nowhere. Did you like that? Did you see what I did there?
That was great.
Although, is that going to cause some kind of a problem by me singing that? Is there going to be any band dispute about that? About who gets those royalties?
I don't know. Let me check over the Suno paperwork I
have here. Yeah, don't worry. We'll stay away from all those topics. Don't worry about that. Although I do have to warn you, I don't usually get high before I do a podcast. I did today, so.
I wouldn't normally have an energy drink at 5 p.m., but I am today. So if I say too much, more than I already do, that's why.
Well, let's talk about a bit about where you are. We can see the tugboat sign over your right shoulder. That's your studio.
Yeah.
As we like to say in Lower Mainland, you're out in the valley.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a valley girl. I'm a valley girl now.
You are valley. Well, you always were, but now it's official. But
yeah.
And so tell us about the studio a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, what are we looking at?
My old studio was in a building on the property, but it was a garage converted. So everything, it very much felt like living on a boat, where if you want one specific thing, you have to open a drawer and then rotate something, and it's in the back. And I just needed more space. And then we were having our child Maisie, And we're really tight with Drew's family, and they live out here. Cultus, like, we were just kind of poking around, and you can just get way more square footage. So this tiny house where we had to have tenants to be able to afford to live there. So basically living in like 1,000 square feet to now we've got like 4,100 square feet, and the whole basement is about 18 of that, I think. And
And
so
is
I've
that
got,
where you are? You're in the basement of the house?
yeah, yeah. And there's like codes for cultists. We really were dead set on cultists, like, and you're not allowed to have a basement in a lot of this area because of potential flooding and stuff. But this one, we knew the guy that built it, who's a friend of the family, and yeah, so it's got a fully concrete basement. So it just meant I didn't have to do a lot of construction, to move the studio in.
He had a fun little thing last weekend, which was this Andy Kim gig that you mentioned, which, was and I think we had a little text exchange afterwards. And like, I think I said something like it was strange, like, but it was good. It was just kind of weird good.
Yeah.
And I don't even know why I'm saying it was weird. I mean, it's just kind of a funny, like, here's all these people, and some of them are like, well, there's you, but I mean, shit, Tom Cochran. I mean, big star. Andy
Yeah.
Kim, big star. 5440. Like, and here we are in this weird casino in Richmond doing a charity show. But I gotta say, like, it was kind of a gas.
Yeah, I loved it. I've been trying to say yes to more things lately. The charity component obviously is good, but it's more, the older I get, the more I realize how introverted I actually am. Like, I really have to rev up to be social. And then
Yep.
when I'm in social mode, I'm like, okay, well, I may as well enjoy it and make the most of it. And so I can kind of turn that side of my brain on. But most of the time, I'm very nervous about going in public, let alone like hanging with like all these people I've never met. But long story short, I loved it. I had such a blast. And I got to sing Life is a Highway with Tom Cochran.
Yeah, that was fun. And I mean, obviously we had a couple of acts playing. We had JoJo Mason, who I don't know if you watched him, but I walked in as
Yeah.
he was singing Hallelujah, and it was fucking great. It was, and then we had the young women of Fion who performed as well.
I just can't believe they put JoJo singing Hallelujah, like one of the most insane voices I've ever heard. Like, he sang a version of Hallelujah that, like, it was just insanely good. And then I had to go on right after him. You don't want to put me on direct, like seconds after JoJo does Hallelujah.
Well, it was funny because, of course, you made some self-deprecating comment as soon as you took the
Whoa.
stage, which was funny. But listen, I like quirky voices, man. Like, that's, to me, that makes something interesting. I mean, I like JoJo's voice, but I like your voice too. They're just different kinds of voices.
Yeah. And you know what? AI hasn't been able to do my voice yet. So that I've been leaning into doing more of my own music because AI's coming after all of us, but until it can do my exact lyrical style and voice, I'm actually kind of stoked to have a weird voice now.
Yeah. I mean, so when you say AI can't do, so if I was on some AI device and said, "Hey, can you sing this like in the with the same with like Steve Bass from Hot Hot Heat sings," you're saying it can't be done?
I kind of am like, keep your friends close, keep your enemies even closer. So I stay on top of every trend in AI to know, how to sort of navigate around it. And the latest version of Suno is sickening. Eh, you know, and it's like, you can't say directly, like, take this person's voice, but then you can use LLM to say, like, hey, how do I describe ABBA, for example? Like I was just showing one of Drew's tattoo clients upstairs the other, like, the level that it's at and how scary it is. So I just put in ChatGPT, like, I want to make a prompt that basically make a song that sounds like ABBA Disco Queen.
Yeah.
And so it gave me like all the workarounds to not have to say ABBA, because then you'll get like a copyright violation.
Oh, I see.
You use ChatGPT to get around the potential, wall, like whatever you call that. And then I said, make a song with these lyrics, and we have like a song about farts, right? And it gives me within 15 seconds intro, verse, chorus, bridge, really well, like really good sounding now. Um, and it's very ABBA-esque, like a lot of ABBA songwriting kind of things. It's not as good as actual ABBA, but the fact that it could do that, and then also you can, that was version 4.5, and now version is like even crazier. I was actually watching a YouTube about licensing and sync today, and he was saying you can't use anything AI and claim copyright. So if you're a TV show and you want to license a song, if it comes from Suno, for example, someone else could end up with a song that's very similar to that. And they could use it for their TV show, or they could like use it for like the new like Epstein Island 2 documentary. And you're like, whoa, what? Like, you know?
I just don't get that excited about it. I mean, it's a topic that comes up. It's come up on the podcast. Like I know I should be more aware of it. I just, I mean, my position is pretty simple. Like, I think if you're using AI to create art from scratch, I just don't find that interesting. I just don't. And I'm yet to hear
Yeah.
something that's very compelling. If you are using it to enhance something that you created, that's a little bit of a different thing. So we have this whole thing on YouTube, 604 Restored, where we've taken all these videos that we made in the early 2000s that look like, I love that.
I love that too. I mean, like I saw this one post, it was like this anti-AI image, and then it said like in an asterisk, like this was not made using AI, it was made with Photoshop. And I'm like, yeah, well, Photoshop is also like, you know, like it used to be like, oh, you can't trust that, it's been photoshopped. You know what I mean? Like there's always going to be tools that people are against, and then we look back and, you know, oh, I guess we slowly got used to the concept of a magazine cover being photoshopped, you know?
Well, look at even something like a Moog synthesizer. I mean, when that came out, I mean, that came out a long fucking time ago, like in the early 70s, I think. And that was playing strings. You could play on the keyboard. I mean, that's kind of AI. I mean, that's kind of, you're using a
Yeah.
keyboard to recreate the sound of a string section.
Yeah. And then people like the Flaming Lips go on to use those fake strings, and they like mess with the pitch of each layer so it sounds more like a real orchestra. And now you think it's a real orchestra, but it's not. And all those orchestra players are out of work. But they weren't going to hire an orchestra to do
No,
that.
they
So
weren't.
I'm fascinated. I want to know what's going on with it, but politically I do find it kind of gross. Mainly because all the power, basically it's going to be removing jobs and saving like a handful of billionaires and oligarchs all that money. And it would be one thing if it was just immediately put back. You know what I mean? It's kind of like if you're taxed for alcohol and you knew that the tax you were paying went to like to fund your liver transplant one day, you'd be like, oh, okay. But you know, if it's like going to build like, I don't know, the new like Rob Ford memorial crack pipe statue or something, like you don't have a say over it. So yeah.
I just don't get so excited about it. Everybody's so excited about it right now. And I'm just like, I'm just not that excited about it. I mean, I'm yet to hear AI music created from scratch that I find compelling. I listened to that Velvet Sunset thing and it was boring. I mean, it was just
Yeah,
sounded like,
sucks.
like a Genesis outtakes or something, like, it was boring.
Well, and I will say this, I really feel like a lot of the experience of being a fan of music is actually wanting to get closer to the artist you really, really love and understand how their brain works. And I feel like that's a part of the experience of going to a live show, is those little interactions and just seeing little details so you can assemble what that person is really like in your mind. And I've never heard anyone talk about that component, you know, like there's being a fangirl of someone, but then there's someone like me where I want to know what makes people tick. Like I want to figure out all the nuance. And so it's not just about the laughs of Curb Your Enthusiasm, say. It's me going like trying to piece together where Larry David is in his arc, in his age, like just trying to piece it all together to understand our world. And AI can't do that for me.
No, it can't. I agree. And I mean, it's funny you say all that because it reminds me like the first band I ever really fell in love with was The Who. And that's when I was maybe in grade 10. And that's before the internet. That's before all of that. And I bought a book about The Who because I wanted to know. It wasn't enough for me to hear Bubba O'Reilly. I wanted to know what the fuck was that written about. And when I found out that it was written about his spiritual advisor and that he was into this religion, and you know, it added a whole nother layer of sort of connection to that music. And I'm just not sure kids. I don't want to be that guy. Oh, that kids today. I don't. You know, that's so boring. But you know, I'm just not sure they give a shit. Like my kids are into music, but not the way I was. They don't do those deep dives. They just hear a song on TikTok or hear a song somewhere and they like it. And that's all they know. And that's it. That's enough. For me as a kid, it wasn't enough. Like you said, I wanted to know the inner workings and why did he write that song? And what did that lyric mean? And, you know, I found all that stuff fascinating.
Well, and in the age of numbers sort of being used to sort of on paper show success, the reality is you might have someone that makes a song referencing like hot, cool words using AI or something, and maybe it blows up, has millions of views, but that creator isn't going to then have a following for the rest of their life. Like every time they do something creative, they're kind of starting from scratch. So I would rather have, you know, like 1,000 or even 100 people that actually give a crap about what I do in a real way. Because for me, like as someone that is like I don't know, creative person, I always have a voice in my head that's saying, this is bullshit. Like, why are you wasting your time? What are you doing? Nobody cares. And I cling to those handful of people that I've met that say, you know, something like, every time I get a new phone, your entire catalog, I put it on physically on my phone. I don't do that with anyone else. I just stream everyone else. Your stuff I always put on each phone. And I'm like, oh. So now I'm thinking of that guy every time it's 5 a.m. And I'm like, wow, like you're going to be so tired. You're not going to hang with Maisie like first thing in the morning. And when you do, you're going to be exhausted and you're going to be faking it. It's like there's all these different priorities as you get older. So all that to say, I feel like the key more and more is just to find your niche and expose your vulnerable, real, authentic self. And in doing that, you start to realize things about yourself. My happiest times are when I'm hanging out with someone who is the most genuine, even if it's unflattering, you know. And again, these are all human traits that AI or even people that use the latest, you know, production tricks and stuff that maybe make one hit. One hit is still one hit. It's different than like a lifetime of people kind of checking in with you and seeing like, oh, what's he up to? Oh, you know what I mean? Like I'd rather have consistent, than like, for like 1 second. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, I do want to run through a bit of your history just because I think people find it interesting. So it's funny, like I remember when Hot Hot Heat was like first, you know, being talked about by people, and you were in Victoria, but of course that's just a hop, skip, and a jump from Vancouver. And there was a Music West. Music West was a festival that was on in Vancouver for what, probably 10 years, 15 years. It was around for a while, and it hasn't been around for a while now. It's probably been a good 10, 15 years since it was even around. But there was right towards the beginning of my career, there was a Music West here. And you guys were definitely one of the bands that people were like talking about and you were buzzing out. And I had a reporter from the Globe and Mail ask me, like, because I was starting to sort of Nickelback was starting to pop off. So this is probably 2003 or four or something. And, you know, she said, you know, hey, I'd love to ask you a reaction about some of these bands that people are talking about. And she's asked me about this band and that band. And then she said Hot Hot Heat. I don't even know if you know this, so hey, I'm kind of nervous telling you the story. But so you were represented by a lawyer named Chris Taylor at the time, and
Hmm.
he was kind of my at the time my kind of arch nemesis, right? Because like we were the only two lawyers in the country who were pretty consistently getting deals for bands in the U.S. And it always
Yeah.
pissed me off when he was repping a West Coast band. Just like I know it would piss him off a bit when I was, like when I grabbed Len and Steal My Sunshine out from under his nose in Toronto. I don't think he liked that. When he grabbed Nelly Furtado and Hot Hot Heat off the island, I didn't like that. So, I had a bit of a bee in my whatever about it. And this reporter said, "What about Hot Hot Heat?" And I said, "Oh, so overrated." That's what I said.
That's
And it was
probably
and it was
true. Probably true.
and it was in the article. And I got really upset with the reporter. I said, "I told you that was fucking off the record." We ended up having a complete falling out because of that.
Oh my
Um,
God.
yeah, funny, huh?
I
Like, I
don't,
don't
I
even
don't
think
think
I
I
knew
know
your
this.
music. I didn't know your music. I just knew Chris represented you. That was enough.
Yeah. Well, and it's, sometimes it's better to just take a stance on something than just give them an I don't know, and then it won't be used.
Yeah, well, there you
You
go. But
got in the paper, so that's the main thing.
well, I want to
Um,
apologize 23 years later.
well, you can officially remove that bee from your bonnet. I
Okay.
forgive that Globe and Mail guy because everything turned out fine. That comment did set us back a few years.
Oh.
Um, it
Yeah,
did
I'm sorry about
it
that.
did
Yeah.
it did lead to a lot of trauma and ultimately some deep addiction issues. But no, it was
You got through it.
we got through it. We got through it. Was that
So
was that when we played at Love Affair?
I can't even remember, but I mean, very quickly after that, I guess the news kind of broke that Sub Pop picked you up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first deal, right? For first deal for Hot Hot Heat was Sub Pop, yes?
Yeah. I was just literally DIY kind of mixing our stuff on Cubase, and we had four of us living in this tiny 2-bedroom apartment. I was trying to figure out how to post songs online. This is like, 2002, so there was no standardized anything. So I was like assembling sort of a mix. I had no idea what I was doing, and I was just copying and pasting and sending it around to people, and nobody was biting really. And then Sub Pop called and they were like, "Why don't you come play with the Liars?" It blew my mind. I've never seen a band that just jumped off the page the way the Liars did. Like
Yeah.
that was like, oh my God. So they really influenced me. And also, I guess we were not too shitty because they signed us, but they only signed us for a 1-record deal because they were like, "We don't think you're good, but we think you maybe are good." So, and then as soon as we delivered that record, they were like, "Oh, we want to get you for 3 records." Um, and then at that point, we were already talking to Warner Brothers because I had my phone number on our shitty website that I made, and they had called me, and I was like, "Yeah,
See, I didn't realize that's how that happened. I always assumed because Sub Pop is a Warner company. I guess they are now, but I always assumed that you signed with Sub Pop, they had some kind of upstream deal. And when Bandages took off, they just said, hey, Warner came in and went, "Hey, we want them now." But that's not what happened.
we had heard about this mythical hybrid deal," and so that did push us towards Warner initially because we were also talking with a bunch of different labels like RCA and like even like Jive and like just basically trying to get free lunches. Then Warner said, "Okay, we want to sign you guys, but we want to re-release Make Up the Breakdown." So we then had to do like another whole massive tour cycle promoting the Warner re-release of that record.
And that's Bandages, right?
Yeah, Bandages and Talk to Me, Dance with Me. Those were kind of the main two singles. But yeah, like it's a good record. I mean, but then again, I like all of our records. I would say my favorite records are our last two, and in some ways, Make Up the Breakdown is like the hardest one for me to listen to because my voice is just like so squawky and weird, and the mix is really naked. It's just very bare bones, you know, because we did it in 6 days. So they were very hands-on with sort of how we rolled out, which I really actually did like that, because I remember we wrote a bio and gave it to them. And they're like, oh, no, 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 no. And they redid it. And same with like the artwork. Like they're like, we have one in-house guy. He does all our artwork.
Yeah.
And I think that they were wise, but we were insistent on going with Jack and Dino, even though they discouraged it, because the Black Halos had become friends of ours, and they worked with Jack and Dino at Mushroom. So we were like, oh, we'll go with Jack and Dino at Mushroom. Like,
But
I
Jack
know
and
that
Dino was a
works.
Seattle guy. Wasn't he a Seattle guy?
Yeah, but he was kind of considered like, you know, like a rocker from yesteryear. Like he did Nirvana Bleach. That was the other thing.
Yeah.
You know, I, you know, was an underground scene guy. I didn't know about the mainstream really at all. But I did know I liked Nirvana. I liked Bleach. Sub Pop signed Nirvana. And like Nirvana's booking agent, like we got Nirvana's booking agent. We like tried to follow all the Nirvana steps, because that was the only kind of template that we knew where you could sign and it wasn't like super cringy where all of a sudden you're like the new Smash Mouth, like what, you know?
Interesting. And so Bandages is a pretty significant hit. Like I think, I mean, K-Rock was playing it in LA, right?
Yeah, there was one show I remember vividly where it was the K-Rock weenie roast
Yeah, I
thing,
remember
but
that. Yep.
oh no, actually no, this one we did do that one, but this one's called the Inland Invasion, and it was all these bands from the 80s, but then they also got Kings of Leon and Us and like a couple like kind of more modern bands, maybe Interpol.
Yeah.
The lineup was insane. It was like The Cure, Duran Duran, Depeche Mode, Devo, Oingo Boingo, Echo and the Bunnymen. And I remember at the time we had a number 1 and a number 3 on K-Rock. So we got placed third to last on the bill. And Echo and the Bunnymen went on right before us. And he was so pissed these young punks are playing after him. And there's like literally like 50,000 people at this. Like it was the biggest show I've ever played in my life. And it's a rotating stage. So as soon as like a band finishes their last, you know, strum, the stage rotates and you start your song. And our manager at the time was like, don't close with Bandages, open with it. And we were like, what? Are you crazy? Like, you gotta like play your single last. And he's like, no, that'll let everyone know like who you are, because they know that song. They don't know your other songs. And we were really into like gambling and dice at the time. And we're like rolling dice on like the reverse of the stage as it's like starting to rotate. And he's like, do Bandages first. We play Bandages, and like everyone in the crowd just stood up and it was, and like went crazy for it. And that was like the first time when I was kind of like, oh, okay, all right,
Yeah.
okay, I'm starting to see like the tea leaves present themselves.
Crazy. Who was the manager then? Your manager?
We were with Jim Garneau.
Oh, right. Very famous guy from the biz. Do you have
Yeah.
something to do with Chicago, the band Chicago, or am I getting that wrong?
I mean, I'm a big fan of the fact that they used the lyric Saturday in the Park. I think it was the 4th of July twice. That is the opening line of the song. And then they do the second verse exactly the same.
Singing those words twice in a row.
Yeah.
Saturday in the park. That's a great song. And then who was your A&R guy at like both Sub Pop? Was it Tony at Sub Pop?
So yeah, we were with Tony at Sub Pop, and he's
still there. He's still there.
Yeah.
And then who was your A&R at Warner?
So we signed with Craig Aronson, and
I remember Craig.
We had met with so many people, but I really liked that he seemed really driven and hungry. And a lot of the A&R guys we were meeting were sort of playing it cool, like trying to be indie rock. I'm like, no, if we're gonna sign with a major, like I want someone that is gonna help us, you know, fight the competition of other bands at the label. So, and he was like kind of like the top dog at Warner. So we were like, let's go with him. And he had signed like at the drive-in and Jimmy Eat
Yeah, I remember
World,
that.
and I think he worked with Beastie Boys and stuff. But yeah, he was really really driven, and he worked his way up to the top of the level, like top level of the label. So we were in a good position. But then he also signed My Chemical Romance and Avenged Sevenfold and The Used, and then Green Day kind of became our main competition at the label for resources, because they put out American Idiot and Boulevard of Broken Dreams had gone to #1 in 5 different radio categories all at once, like right as we put out Elevator, which was kind of like our official major label debut record.
And
And so
that's got
that
Middle
was
of
weird.
Nowhere. Does that have Middle of
Yeah.
Nowhere?
Yeah.
I gotta say, for what it's worth, I don't think I've ever said this to you. Definitely my favorite Hot Hot Heat song.
Oh, fun. Yeah. Now I kind of prefer mid-tempo songs above fast songs, you know?
Well, isn't that what you sang at the Andy Kim thing?
Yeah. Well, I was like, I'll do a song that's sort of easy for the backing bands to learn, because man, I will say it's so nice just showing up. I didn't even rehearse with them. You just go on stage and you're like, yeah, these guys learned the song, I hope. And it's just a microphone. You just have to show up with a blazer. It's so nice to not have to like sort out backline and amps and programming main stage. And I just want to show up and have a 2 beer buzz and just sing a few songs. Like that's my dream scenario.
Yeah, no, that it was fun. And so, I mean, Hot Hot Heat. I mean, it's has gone through a lot. I don't even know how much you're allowed to talk about now, but I mean, can you say anything about the current state of the band? If you can't, no problem. But
I just avoid things where I get into specifics about personalities. But it ultimately, there's like a personality clash, sort of, like you're blowing up and it feels like, like I'll do whatever it takes. Whereas, at this stage in life, like I just have so many creative endeavors that I want to work on. So I don't want to spend that time with anyone where I feel like it's anything but what is it? The sunshine thing you always say?
Sunshine and Rainbows Forever.
Yeah, sunshine and rainbows. We could be dead tomorrow, or I could be dead tomorrow. Life's too short, and there's baggage,
Yeah,
but also like we managed to sort of end the band on like a pretty good note, and I like that record we did, and I think we anyone that saw us play knows we put on like a really legit show. And so I just didn't want to come back unless the vibes were really awesome. Because if the vibes are awesome, I will put in sometimes 20 hours a day, just obsessively making something as good as I can do it. But
yep.
if the vibes are bad, I kind of drag my feet, and I just like, if we're gonna do a reunion, I want to know that all the things are in place so that I can do my very best.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hear you on that. Is the band? I mean, when somebody says like, is the band currently? I mean, does it even exist right now?
No, it basically like we were gonna do a tour, and it was gonna be in the US, and Golden Voice had booked all these other shows. Like we were gonna do Just Like Heaven, which is another Golden Voice thing, and some other festivals around that area. And then before we signed any contracts, the vibes were just way too heavy. And I was about to, Maisie was going to be born around that time, so it was
I
kind of
was going to
like,
ask about that because, like, I know speaking for myself, having kids really changed. I mean, stating the obvious changes everything for you, but when it came to things like making decisions about business stuff, it definitely played into it. I definitely did
yeah,
not want to be coming home, bringing shitty vibes home to my kids at night. I just that
yeah,
became very important to me. And I'm not going to say, I mean, I'm in the same boat. I have to be careful what I say sometimes, but I was in a certain relationship with an artist And when that relationship ended, I was just like, oh man, I just don't ever want to get into another one of those. It's become so important to me that I work with people I like. And that may sound like a stupid sort of like, you would always think you'd want to be, that's important. And it was always important. But early in my career, if you paid me enough money, I would happily eat your shit sandwich, because I was
Yeah.
poor and I was driven and I was desperate. And, you get to a certain point. I mean, one of the nice things about making money is that you don't have to do things just to make money. And then you can
Yeah.
evaluate it on a whole different plane. I don't want to work with assholes. I just don't. I've worked with enough assholes in my life. And I know some people think I'm an asshole, but you know what? I'm not a gratuitous asshole. Somebody pokes me with a stick, I'm going to poke them back harder. But that's different than it being the default setting. And it's just not my default setting anymore.
Like everything you just said is exactly it. And when you're young, it's kind of like there's good, there's bad. But as you get older, it becomes all these different shades of knowing how to be your best person and like having long-term goals in some areas and that shorter term goals over here and stuff. And like, yeah, like things like with Maisie, for example, like I believe that even the stress levels when a baby is in the womb, well, I say I believe, but this is proven scientifically. If a mother is stressed during pregnancy, the odds of that child having schizophrenia go up. If the parents have anxiety in the first few years, the likelihood of depression in the child go way up and addiction go way up, and it's coming out more and more in epigenetic studies where, we all have these potential traits in our DNA strand, and the early experiences in life flip switches on and off on your DNA. And so I didn't want to give up uh, and just have like a stressful energy around her birth. But Drew was really encouraging. She was like, just do it. Like she's a big, like so supportive and encouraging and stuff. And so I just kind of wanted to be there for her. And but yeah, to go back to what you were saying, it's not just like black and white necessarily, like asshole versus non-assholes. It's sort of like with anything you're doing work-wise, you can give it, a C minus, or you can give it an A plus, and so I want to surround myself with people where I want to like do good for them and give
Yep.
them that A plus. So if I'm working with people where it's like there's all these things in the way it was recorded, like pops and clicks, or the mics are out of phase, out of alignment. Oh, and the vocals are pitchy and need to be timed and tuned. Like I can do all this stuff to make them sound even better that their producer or their engineer should have done. But if when I go to them like, hey, sorry, I'm taking a bit longer, but I'm doing all this so that the mix will sound even better. If they're just like, yeah, okay, but hurry up, like, come on, man. Like you said, you'd be a day. If that's the reaction I get, then it's like, oh, okay. Uh, so I have to deliver a subpar to people that don't understand. They don't really like see the value that I'm bringing, and if they also appreciate it, like not in the form of compliments, just in the form of like validating that I'm not crazy for embarking on the sort of creative process that sometimes it ends up being.
Listen, when I've had bands ask me, hey, we were thinking about maybe working with Steve Bays, what do you think? I'm always super like that's always what I kind of say. I'm like, look, uh, he is the most meticulous motherfucker I've ever worked with. Like, like it, it's going to take as long as it takes because that's what I mean, he'll open something up and be like, oh, I didn't even realize that was there. Now I need to, and you'll sort of come to me, be like, you know what? I really think we need to, and I don't think I've ever said no because you're fucking good at what you do. And if you come to me and say that, there's a reason for it. And I respect that, but it's not for everybody. Cause you're right. There are some people who are like, okay, can we get like that mix like at 4 PM? And it's just like, nah, dude, it'll be ready when it's ready.
It's like, we want it done by this time. It's like, and then I'll be like, okay, so here it is. I think it could be better, but here you go. and then they go to radio or something and it doesn't connect. And it's like, I could have told you it doesn't sound like it's radio ready. Like, so, but then to tell me like I have to put one arm behind my back, and deliver the same results, so, but I try and flex, with all sorts of different artists based on where they're at more and more lately. Cause music business is so weird. And like, I can't, I don't want to be a diva, and I don't want people to like walk away from something feeling like I took their art and like changed it too much. But I do like when people are like, no, if you hear something that could be improved, like let's do it, like either together or on your end or whatever. And I'll
All
be
the best
stoked.
producers that I ever work with are fucking meticulous as hell. Like you, Josh Ramsey,
Josh, big time.
Chad, even Chad. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I remember those early days of like hanging out in the studio during Nickelback records, and Chad had this thing about every single element has to be a hook. Every lyric, every melody, every solo, every drum fill, like the outro, the intro. If I can't look at that and say that every single thing is not, if there's one even small element that isn't a hook, we're not done.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you can play it to your friends and maybe they'll be like, oh dude, it's fine. But I always say there are going to be some people that do notice that mouth pop on that one syllable, and they'll be like, that's now you're demoted in my mind, because Spoon wouldn't let that happen.
Right.
It's like, well, you're not Spoon.
Right.
But build it and they will come. Like deliver Spoon level, and maybe like you can be like Spoon or whatever.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, there's a couple other things we should talk about for sure, even if briefly. So we should talk about Mounties, because Mounties band is something I was involved with. So Light Organ, the 604 offshoot. And we had a moment. That first record did fucking great.
Yeah.
We had single after single that performed great. Obviously Headphones did great. Tokyo, why am I having a brain fart?
Tokyo Summer.
Such a great song, and that did great. The second record kind of didn't do as well. And I mean, I think there were a lot of reasons, some personal, some business. I don't know. It just,
when the first record came out, we were so aligned in the way we presented ourselves. We all had this similar energy of like, this, we're not normally big social media guys, but we're so stoked on this project and this moment in time. Like, and it just somehow translated to people being like, I gotta go see them play. And it was like every show for 2 tours was sold out, immediately. And it was like, oh man. And we like, even like headlining the Commodore for our first show in Vancouver ever.
I remember that show so well.
And it was sold out, and we were on the cover of the Straight, and it was just so freaking exciting. Yeah, like I think, but then, life changes. Cause I also think every band, when they do get a bit of success, even if it's small, you really have to unite in ignoring that success for the next record. Yep. And still get back together based on your love of music and joy, and I think, because for one person, if you have success on previous stuff, they might be consumed with like, oh, we got to make a single, and then someone else might actually shoot themselves in the foot because they're already in the phase of, it's not cool that we had success, and I want to like intentionally be like the punk one that's like actively sabotaging this. There's all these different personality types that all of a sudden present themselves on album 2. And I think there's so many artists that last a long time are actually solo artists, because they can go through all these different phases of different psychology without it sort of,
affecting the dynamic of the whole group.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, I think what was interesting was like, I think on that first album, there was such a sense of just joy. And I think a lot of that probably came from the fact that all three of you were kind of, it's like you were all in these other situations, that maybe in some ways were good, but in some ways weren't good, or maybe you weren't, because Ryan was still, I don't know, I guess Age of Electric had kind of died, but Limb Lifter was still going. He was still dealing with stuff, and Hawksy was coming from a solo career, and you were coming out of Hot Hot Heat stuff, and it was almost like it gave all three of you the freedom to just kind of have fun for a change without all the heavy shit. Because I remember going to your studio, or was it Ryan's? Where was that all happening? Was it yours at Greenhouse? And
it was both of ours, because ours were side by side. But
right.
I remember we played you If This Dance Catches On. You were sitting on the couch and you're like, we should put this one out. I was like, yeah, I like this one.
Yeah, no, there was a real feeling of joy. And it's a moment in time. And I mean, lots of things happened between the first record and the second record, and some stuff in your personal lives. And, I don't know how much I want to get into it, but I know Hawksy, I guess, decided he didn't like me or something. I don't know what happened. I didn't want to get into it, but it was painful. I mean, because I never understood it. I don't understand it 10 years later. Hopefully that's not how he feels these days. But
it's been a while since I've talked with Hawksley. I've done some of his solo records, and we catch up every now and again. But yeah, he's one of those people that every time I talk with him, it's like you can tell it's like he's lived 3 other lives in his brain, and so it's like catch up, like holy shit. So you think this about this now? You think what? And it's just and that's what makes him such a firecracker to work with creatively. I think though, I was just craving some stability by album 2, because I had gone through a divorce, and then I started dating someone that ended up being a serial cheater and messing with my head and super bad. And then I moved on to and I was living on a fishing boat. And then that led to me dating someone else that messed with my head really bad. And it was somewhere in there, I was also in a band where it was 3 kind of chaotic minds that are all shoot, firing on all cylinders, trying to get back to that place of just fucking around and just the joy of music and not overthinking it. And I think maybe we kind of got freaked out by by it sort of feeling like there was a magnifying glass on us. But I think we'll do more. I also hang out with Ryan all the time, and we chat almost every day sometimes. I think though if we were to do another one, I think I'd want it to be sort of I have a dream of doing a record where we just pass a session back and forth, not in the same room,
Yep.
And just here, I've done this much to a song, and then give it to someone, and then give it to someone else. Oh wow. And just to see what happens, because they're still brilliant guys, and I love them. I think it's just a lot of personality in one room, which is what makes it great. But yeah, like I said, personally, I've just been craving stability for decades. And
well, for the record, if you do a third Mounties record, I own it.
Yeah. Well, no,
but my evil laugh.
When you've said when you've kind of planted that seed in Ryan's mind and in mine, which made me, because when that there's a destination for an album, it does help a lot, I find, because even when I'm putting out, I've got a solo record I'm working on, but there's no destination, there's no timeline, nothing. It's kind of just me having to muster up my own enthusiasm every time I work on it. Yeah. So if you do have a band and there is a label that says hey, I will put this out, it's oh wow, it's a different kind of motivation.
Well, so. It's been a while. I should probably raise the topic again at some point. I mean, it would be great to do it.
I would love to. I would
love to too. I would really love to. And then,
oh man, that's so cool.
We also put out a Fur Trade album, Spotify,
which is probably one of my favorite records. Yeah, as well. The Fur Trade record, I really love that record a lot.
So do I. And I have to tell you, like as you know, we put out a lot of Christmas music, our company. And that Christmas song, I swear, is one of my favorite of all. We have a catalog of
Awesome.
probably close to 200 Christmas songs after 20 years in business. And
Insane.
what's it? Christmas in a Cage. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the video too. The song, perfect. I just, as far as alternative Christmas music, like,
It's something about doing a Christmas song where you're allowed to be extra poppy and positive, and you are artistically feel like you can remove your identity and your ego and just entertain, because a Christmas song that's not joyous and entertaining is not a Christmas song. So it sort of forces you to actually tap into some of your pop instincts.
yeah.
And so I think that's why I love Christmas songs,
Me too. I always
Often, yeah.
have. I just always have. And so I think just to end this off, there was something I wanted to share something with you because I just was curious to get your thoughts about it. So do you know the band Armchair Cynics, also from Victoria?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we did a re-release this year of their big EP, and then 20th anniversary. And then we also put out some new music, some new old music, like old songs that had never been released. And we put them out. And I did a podcast with them. And in part of the segment of the podcast, we were talking about Vancouver Island. And that's why I want to ask you this, because you're a Vancouver Island guy. And what I said in the podcast was pretty simple. I didn't think it was controversial at all. I said, it's a weird place, the island. And it's a weird place because there's so much alternative, for lack of a better phrase, alternative lifestyles being led on parts of that island that are hard to access. Like, if you want to not be seen by civilized society, like it's a great place to go. And I mentioned that, back when I was a criminal lawyer, I was aware of grow ops there. I was aware of Hell's Angels there. But then there's also that other weird shit, Wiccans. Like, there's all this stuff about Victoria. And the reaction that clip got, I got producer Alex here. How many views did that clip get? It was 500,000. And
oh my gosh.
a lot of people were really like brutal. Like, well, if you don't fucking like the island, just don't fucking go to the island. And like, I'm kind of going, I didn't say that. All I said was it's weird. Like, I like weird. I'm like, I wasn't putting the island down, but
Yeah,
where are you on that? Like, do you know what I'm talking about when I say like there's,
yeah. It's so different there. And I can't put my finger on it, but whenever I go back to Victoria, it feels almost magical, because I swear, because they've talked about building a bridge for decades, but I hope that they never do. I used to want them to, because something about that ferry, it's such a pain in the ass to get on and off the island, but it's a big enough population that like these big sort of subcultures can, spawn and, fester. But then you're kind of trapped on the island for a lot of like I was kind of like, in my 20s. And by that point, my perception of the world was shaped on all these subcultures. Like there's all these different, like there's surf punks and there's goths and there's, hacky sack type of hippies. Then there's like devil stick hippies. Then there's punk hippies, a preppy scene and a bit of a hip hop scene. A bit of a rave scene, actually. The first song I put out of my solo stuff, Women's Jeans, it's called that because growing up, I was so consumed with wanting to establish what my identity was. But I think growing up on the island, you think that you need to kind of establish your identity more than you do, because you look at the rest of the world, like New York and all the cool bands from like Chicago and like, the UK, and we're just on this little island. So you kind of overdo the identity thing. But then also it was the island. So there wasn't cool fashion or clothing or anything. This was before Temu, and so I ended up just being like, oh, I'm going to like women's jeans are actually like, there's way more options and they're tight. They kind of look punk rock. Maybe I'd add like a spiked belt or whatever. And like, that's sort of how you signal to people when you're a teenager, like what scene you were in. And yeah, it's a very like scene centric place. But as a result, I've noticed that per capita, there's so many crazy creative people that have come out of Victoria. Like so many
So
brilliant
many.
people have come out of there. So I don't know what it is. It's less to do with Victoria itself, probably, and more to do with the combination of that amount of people being that isolated at that period in time before the internet.
So a couple of things from what you just said. First, just as sort of an aside, one thing I learned in Victoria was that it's not just the game hacky sack I don't like, it's the people who play it. I have come to that conclusion that I just, same planet, different world. It's fine. I'm not out to get them, but I want nothing to do with them. That's number one. Number two, a fucking bridge? Who talks about that? You're saying that people talk about building a bridge from Victoria to Vancouver? How is that possible? That would be like the longest bridge ever.
I know it comes up all the time if you live there. But I used to be, when I was 15, I was in that like punk hippie hybrid realm. In my school, like the hacky sack kids were cool. Granted, this was like in the 90s.
Well, so would you be sitting in school sort of just kind of depressed that somewhere out there was sack not being hacked?
All I know is this. I met a girl that I dated for 8 months that was way out of my league when I was 15, and it was because of the universal language of hacky sack.
Oh, wow. That's how you bonded.
I feel like I sort of punched above my weight after that point, so the hacky sack I associate sort of with the planting the seed of self-esteem that maybe led to maybe I can put out a record on light organ.
There you go. So, do you have anything you want to promote?
Well, yeah, if you go to just stevebays.com, I know it's cheesy. Nobody cares about .coms, but it's just a link tree. Or you can go to my Instagram, and I just Instagram.com/stevebays. And I just sort of post a bunch of stuff. Like, I'm just wrapping up tonight the new Gay 90s first song in years, their comeback song.
Oh, nice. Our friend Parker.
Yeah, Parker from Fur Trade and Mounties Live.
Sometimes, yeah.
And then I've got a new song called Check Please that is maybe like one of my favorite songs I've ever written in my life. And it was kind of a turning point for me where I feel like I'm really excited about writing lyrics that mean a lot to me. When I write lyrics that mean something to me, as long as they're still fun and catchy and entertaining and angular and, and kooky. And so, if I write lyrics that mean a lot to me, then I feel like I can hold my head high in the world and just be proud of my contribution artistically for like, it buys me like a year before the demons come back saying like, you're a piece of shit,
Yeah. No, listen. Most of us in the creative business fight those same demons like on a kind of daily basis. So I get that. Okay. Yeah. Well, Steve, always great talking to you. I will be in touch soon. And thanks for doing this. Grant, take it away.
Okay. If you enjoyed this podcast, please rate it or review it. And your reviews may be in a future episode of I Hate Simkin. You can do that at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. 5 stars. We're going for 5 stars only. Nothing below 5 stars. It's not worth our time. 5-star reviews for I Hate Simkin. Come on.